How's it going, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new test hand video for Atlantean Deep Sea Mermail. Deep Sea Mermail is probably what I'll call this, Deep Sea Atlantean, because I am playing some spice arenos in here. I am playing this beautiful field spell. I had an idea in my head of how I wanted to use this card in this deck, which was to sort of play along the lines of like, you know, I'll use it to stack the deck of any water and then draw any water with Crocodragon. But then I realized that was just kind of becoming a bit lackluster. And what do I mean by that? It was like basically coming down to the fact that like by the time that I could go for that play, it means like my hand has already been pretty decent, and that, you know, drawing at whatever card I stacked was kind of like not very impactful at all. Because like ideally you'd be stacking something that could impact and help you extend upon what plays you already had, but I found in a little while that I was playing it that way that it really never worked out like I thought it would. But instead I started playing it a bit differently, where I would take advantage of Minstrel's effect to mill the top 3 cards of the deck and use that in conjunction with the field spell to basically trigger Dragoons whenever I need it, alongside other effects that I may get lucky and mill, because it does trigger the effect of Dragoons, Infantry, Prince, for those that don't know, the mill effect of Deep Sea Minstrel when it is special summoned. And it also helps to recycle Dragoons in the process. So this is the experimental build of Mermail that I've been talking about, and I'm finally happy to show you guys a test hand video of it, where hopefully I can show off said cool interactions with you guys. So before we go any further, of course, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Imperium Duelist. If you guys are interested in picking up this playmat, you can do so at the link below, and you can also get it for 10% off using that discount code WinterKills10off. Or if you want to pick up any of these sleeves, you can as well. They're tournament-ready, non-effect sleeves, or one of their deck boxes. You know, pick your poison, whatever you want. They've got tons of great products there. They've also got these amazing dice themed after classic spells and traps. Again, you can get all for 10% off using that discount code WinterKills10off at checkout. And if you guys are buying anything on TCG Player, do not forget to use my affiliate link down in the description below, as a small bit of revenue from your purchase will go back into the channel. Oh, I did that all in one breath. All right, let's go ahead and draw our first hand here, and let's see if I can show you guys what I want to show you guys. So we have Deep Sea Minstrel, Aria, Mermail Abystius, Atlantean Heavy Infantry, and a copy of Upstart Gablin. All right, so the way I think I'm going to play this one out is I'm going to Minstrel. We're going to discard the Infantry. We're going to take a peek at that hand, and we're going to knock any pesky hand traps out of the way. And now I'm going to use Deep Sea Aria, and we're going to banish Infantry. Important with this particular build is we do not want to banish Minstrel. We want to keep that card in our graveyard at all costs, because, well, we needed to sort of take advantage of the field spell's effect. So I know we didn't draw the field spell. That is the one thing, the one caveat with this build, is if you do not draw the field spell, you do not draw terraforming, there really is no way to take advantage of that effect. But that doesn't mean you still can't play out your turn as you normally would, as my extra deck really hasn't changed much at all with this build, which is nice. It really doesn't change the core playstyle of the build, and only gives you the extra option to extend a little bit further. So I'm going to go ahead and use Deep Sea Diva here. And we're going to summon Neptibus. Neptibus is going to activate its effect. We're going to send Dragoons. And we're going to add Dragoons. And we're also going to add a copy of Megalo here. You could also add Lapis Dragon here. Really doesn't make too big of a difference. But we're just going to go ahead and add Megalo here for the sake of this video. Now we're going to summon Teus. We're going to discard Dragoons. And we're going to add Prince and Gund. And I'm really just holding this Upstart here till the very last second to see if we can draw into a terraforming or our field spell. But if not, we can sort of play this out as like a standard play. So let's go ahead and cut the deck. And now at this point, we'll go ahead and Upstart to see if we draw into the field spell. We do not. That's completely fine. We draw into Pike, which is next to just as good, I think, as drawing the field spell. So we're going to go ahead and link these two off and do a copy of that Crystron Halqifibrax. Now, if we did have the field spell, what we would do is we would make Marincess Coral Anemone here instead. And we would play the field spell, stack a Dragoons to the top of our deck. Then we would use Minstrel, or Anemone to revive Minstrel, use Minstrel's effect upon summon, to send the top 3 cards of our deck to the graveyard. We'd get Dragoon's effect and any other Atlanteans that hit the grave, and we would recycle Dragoons back in the process, and then we'd have Anemone and Minstrel to go into Halqifibrax with. So that's just sort of how that would play out. But we don't have that option here, so what we're going to do is just summon out Fishborg Launcher from our deck like this. If we really wanted to try and draw, you know, the field spell, we could make like Formula Synchron right here, but I think that's just a little overkill at this point. So now what we're going to do is summon Megalo by discarding Pike and Gund. We'll use Megalo as Chainlink 2, Megalo is Chainlink 1, Gund is Chainlink 2. We'll revive Pike. Actually, no, we have to do this the other way around. We have to do Gund Chainlink 1, Megalo Chainlink 2, otherwise our Pike will miss timing, which we do not want it to do, because we'd like to be able to get a rank 4 play out of it if we can. So we'll use Pike, we'll discard Infantry, or Prince, we'll add a Minstrel for next turn, and we'll go ahead and revive Dragoons off of that of the Prince. We're not going to be able to Moon Glacier. I'm actually not playing Moon Glacier in this build, and I'm also only playing 1 Megalo. That's something else I should also bring up as kind of an important side note. So we're going to make Bahamut Shark here, and because I found a lot of times that Moon Glacier, just for this particular build, not super needed because there's a bit more of an emphasis on Minstrel with this version, because not only will you be using Minstrel just as you normally would in given Mermail combos, but you sort of need it to revive off an enemy to be able to, you know, take advantage of the stack effect. So now we're going to use Dragoons here, and we can go ahead and search something like Prince for next turn, or we could grab Infantry, you know, to have as a discard outlet. And here we have the ability to either Synchro for Crocosaur, or we could go for Dragite. It really just depends here. I am going to go for Crocosaur, so we'll just go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and Synchro for Crocosaur, especially since we'll get to draw 2 out of it. We'll pick up 2 more cards. We'll draw Megalanica and another Megalanica, so I guess ask and you shall receive. So now we can go ahead and play Megalanica. I guess it's not super worth going for right now. I mean, granted, we could stack our draw for next turn. Actually, I just thought of a really good idea. First and foremost, we'll actually go ahead and play Megalanica, and I believe we have 1 Dragoons left in our deck. So we can go ahead and stack that to the top of our deck upon activation. Then we can go ahead and use the Fishborg Launcher in the grave here to go ahead and link off with the Bahamut and the Launcher to go into Marincess Coral Anemone. Now we can use Anemone's effect here to summon Minstrel in the grave, and then we'll activate Minstrel's effect to mill the top 3 cards of our deck, and it's Dragoons, another Megalanica, and a copy of Lapis Dragon. So we're going to go ahead and resolve the effect of Minstrel now, and that is to put back a level 4 or lower water. We'll put Dragoons right back in the deck, and we'll resolve the other effect of Dragoons here to add another Sea Serpent from our deck to our hand. And we can go ahead and add another copy of Infantry to allow us to pop 3 cards off of our Crocosaur for next turn. And since we won't really need Halqifibrax with this particular hand, we can go ahead and link off the Anemone and the Halqifibrax into a copy of Mistarboy. And then we can link Mistarboy, or even I guess what we could do is link the Anemone and the Halqifibrax into Great Bubble Reef is another potential option. Or we could link those 2 into Mistarboy and then link these 2 into the Mermail Abyssalacia and equip the Abyss Scale of the Mizuchi. Now, we do have, there was another effect we could have used of Megalanica, which is to change the level of a water monster by increasing its level by 1 or by 2. Or the other effect, when we Synchro Summon while it's on the field, we can banish a card out of our opponent's hand until the end phase. Which doesn't really matter too much, because I feel like after you take the first look at with the first Minstrel, there isn't so much of a benefit of doing it again, unless they have like 2 Nibiru, I guess, but at that point, then they're just already going to use the other Nibiru before you have a chance to do things with the field spell. But all in all, not a bad hand. We have a good setup here for Alacia. We have a generic negate in that of Toad, and we have the ability to pop 3 on the opponent's turn with a double heavy infantry. So a pretty solid hand. I actually did get to showcase you guys there at the very end, thanks to the draws off Crocodragon, the double field spell. Probably could have done a bit more if we didn't draw the field spell, but that's the thing that I like about the minstrel effect is like you can stack that Dragoon so you can get the extra push power of resolving another Dragoons while at the same time of putting a Dragoons back in the deck, which is absolutely huge because that makes your late game Princes so much better, because if you don't have a Dragoons in there, your Prince is just going to get diminishing returns. Because if you can send your Dragoons, you go from, you know, not like if you versus not sending a Dragoons, you go from just getting 1 card to your hand to getting 2, which is obviously way better. It turns it into a plus instead of just sort of like a break even. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle up here, take a drink of water because my voice is going a little bit, and we'll do another test hand. All right, deck has been shuffled. Let's go ahead and draw into our next test hand here and see what we're capable of pulling off. We have a copy of Atlantean Heavy Infantry, Abyssgale the Mizuchi, Atlantean Dragoons, a copy of Neptibus, and our last card is a copy of Deep Sea Minstrel. So this hand looks pretty stellar here if you ask me. We'll start with the Minstrel, discarding Dragoons. We'll take a peek at their hand and we'll go ahead and search out you-know-what. That is, of course, Deep Sea Diva. We grabbed the common one last time. This time around, we'll go ahead and grab the Italian one because I'm feeling like a spicy Mermail player. So we're going to go ahead and actually not normal summon the Diva. We'll normal summon the infantry and follow that up with the Diva del Mare Profondo, and then we'll go ahead and normal summon, or special summon rather, from our deck, not the one in our hand, a copy of Prince. So yeah, getting all my things in order here. We'll go ahead and send Dragoons, add Dragoons, and Megalo. Now, like I said, this version is only playing 1 Megalo, but I may bump it back to 2. Because I feel like you're really just cutting it close with only 1 Megalo. But then again, I am playing Pot of Avarice, so maybe I don't really super need to, but only time will tell with more testing, of course. So we're going to go ahead and link, let's see, we'll link these 2 off for Christian Helka-Fibrax. I really wouldn't go for the enemy play here if we don't have the field spell because you're just sort of taking a shot in the dark, but could be tempted to sometimes. You never know. So we're going to go ahead and summon Megalo now by discarding both Prince and Dragoons. We don't need to use the effect of Megalo here since we already have the Abyssgale in hand. So we'll go Chainlink 1, Dragoons, Chainlink 2, Prince, and we'll summon out the Dragoons from the deck, or from the grave rather. And we'll go ahead and add a Sea Serpent from our deck to our hand. Exactly. Oh, and I also never summoned off of the Helka-Fibrax. We'll go ahead and do that now. So we can go ahead and add the Lapis Dragon here. Because Lapis Dragon we can actually make Crocodragon with. And we can also have the ability to still make Dragite. So we'll go ahead and special summon this. And then here we'll go ahead and synchro these 2 into a copy of that Dragite. We'll put it in defense position. And then we'll go ahead and synchro these 2 into a copy of the Ravenous Crocodragon. We'll go ahead and draw 1 card there. It's a copy of Gund, not super bad. And we're also not going to put that there because, well, we can't make Alacia if we do that. So we'll summon back the Fishborg Launcher. And we'll go ahead and link these 2 off and do a copy of Mermail Abyss Alacia, thus giving us room to equip our Mizuchi, giving us a good discard for our Gund, and allowing us to use Helka-Fibrax during the opponent's turn to, of course, put Formula Synchron on the board to draw a card to fuel more plays, and we would draw Megalanica, Bittersweet, and then, of course, go for the almighty Satellite Warrior. So, pretty solid hand there, gotta say. Very, very solid hand. No Megalanica. I really want to hard open that card for this video. I don't want to have to simulate a hand, but if we do, we will, because I don't want to end this video without sort of showcasing, you know, a hand that opens with Minstrel access and also opens the field spell. We got to show it off a little bit in the first hand, a little bit late to the start, not at all in the second hand, but let's go ahead and see if we can in the third hand here. So. All right, so I'm going to finish shuffling here, and also want to mention that I made a mistake regarding the Minstrel effect, that when we recycle that level 4 or lower water monster back into the deck, it goes to the top or bottom. It doesn't just get shuffled back in. So I think I made a mistake regarding that earlier. Someone's probably already corrected me at this point, but I'll correct myself now in saying that it does have to go to the top or bottom. So we draw into a copy of Megalo, a copy of Pike, a copy of Moray Agreed, a copy of Deep Sea Minstrel, and a copy of that Type C Doucher. So we're going to go ahead and Moray here. And we're going to put the Megalo back, and we're going to put the Pike back, and we're going to see if we can draw that beautiful field spell on top of maybe a Dragoons. That would be very, very optimal here. So we're going to go ahead and give the deck a cut. We'll complete the cut. We draw into a copy of Prince. We draw into another copy of Prince and a copy of Rana Scambio. So not, I mean, I can't complain about that. Those are pretty good draws. So we're going to go ahead and Minstrel here. And what do we want to go ahead and discard? We have, we'll go ahead and discard the Prince because I don't think it makes too big of a deal here. So we'll go ahead and take a look at their hand. And we'll go ahead and normal summon the Diva. Hopefully we've taken out an Ash or an Imperm, whatever it may be. And we're going to go ahead and summon out Infantry. And we're going to additional normal the Prince. We're going to send Dragoons, add Dragoons, and we'll go with a copy of, let's see. We definitely want to add Dragoons here. And we probably want to go with Megalo. We also technically have the option to make Bahamut Shark through that of the Bujinki Ahashima. But if we do that, it'll kind of make our plays a little bit awkward. So what I'm going to do is just link these to a Dehauka Fibrax. And we're going to go ahead and just use its effect. We'll summon out Fishborg Launcher from the deck. And we're going to go ahead and summon Megalo now by discarding the Dragoons and the Swap Frog. And we're going to go ahead and grab Lapis Dragon and a copy of Mizuchi. And we're going to go ahead and summon Lapis Dragon to the field here just for extra link fodder. Now we do have the opportunity here to make Crocodragon. With these three, we'll pick up 2 cards in the process, and we can also bring back Lapis, or bring back Fishborg Launcher to make an enemy with. And then we'll have extra discard fodder in our hand to be able to summon the swap back from our hand one time. So I think that's actually what I'm going to do. So we're going to synchro all 3 of these into a copy of that Ravenous Crocodragon Arquetus. We'll draw 1, 2. We draw Deep Sea Aria and 1 for 1. Not terrible draws. We'll special summon the Fishborg Launcher back. And we're going to go ahead and link these 2 into Murincess Coral Anemone. We'll use its effect to target the Swap Frog in the grave. We'll use Swap Frog's effect on summon to go ahead and send Ronin Toad into the graveyard. We'll bounce this back to our hand. We're going to have to Deep Sea Aria here, and we're going to have to banish any water in our grave. We'll go with this copy of Diva, and we'll add just any water or any level 4 or lower Sea Serpent. We'll just add a copy of Minstrel just so we have something to discard for our Swap Frog. We'll go ahead and just summon it, ditch the Minstrel, and we're going to go ahead and send another Swap Frog from our deck to the grave. And we're going to go ahead and do swap for Ronin. And we're going to go ahead and Xyz summon into a copy of Totally Awesome. Put that right there. And we can also link both of these into a copy of Murincess Great Bubble Reef. And that is going to sort of get rid of the Dehauka Fibrax, which we don't entirely need during that turn because, you know, we would normally tag out into Formula, which we could still technically have done, but we wouldn't have anything to synchro up with because we have Crocosaur on the field. And then during their opponent's turn, we can banish a water in our grave to go ahead and draw an additional card. We draw Terraforming, which is fine. We still have a way to resolve Crocodragon and of banishing or discarding these 2 to destroy a card if need be. Not terrible. And to be honest, we do have Toad here. So whatever we negate with Toad, we can add back per se an Infantry or Dragoons to give us some more optimal discards for the Crocodragon. So we can discard these 2, search a Diva or whatever, and still pop a card and get something out of it in the process instead of having to discard, you know, all spells, I guess. So let's go ahead and reset everything and draw another hand and see if we can make something happen with this field spell at the start of our turn. So hope we can showcase that. All right, deck's been shuffled here. We'll just go ahead and complete the cut and see what we have. We draw the 1 of Mizuchi, but we can't draw the field spell. 2 Dragoons, Teus, and a copy of Megalanica, the Deep Sea City. This hand is looking pretty good, I will add. Pretty darn good. We're going to start with Teus Dragoons here, as you might have expected. And we're going to go ahead and search Gund and Minstrel, as I think probably the two best bets here. Where is that pesky Gund? There it is. Now we're going to go ahead and Minstrel away the Dragoons, take a look at their hand, snipe any problematic cards that might be there. We're going to add Type Seat Oucher, and we're not going to play our field spell yet, but we're going to normal summon this and summon out a copy of Prince. And Prince is going to go ahead and send Dragoons. And we'll go ahead and add Dragoons. We won't have a Dragoons to add, but we'll add Dragoon or send Dragoons. And we'll go ahead and add per se like infantry. And with it, we'll add Megalo as our last card. If I can find it here. There it is. Or we could add Lapis Dragon. I guess it really depends. So this is interesting. So it looked really good on the surface. But we happen to open 2 Dragoons, so we're not going to be able to stack a Dragoon to the top of our deck to be able to, trigger with that of the Minstrel. But what we still can do is trigger something per se like Prince. So let's go ahead. Or we could even set up Swap Frog in the grave too. That's another really cool thing that we could do. Because we don't even have to per se, have like a Dragoons or like Atlantean effect to trigger. We can just set up, swap in the graveyard. But granted, we are using an enemy right now, so that really not going to be the most optimal play, but it's still something that can be done. So let's go ahead and use a net. Well, first, we want to just summon the enemy. We'll play Megalanica, and we'll go ahead and stack what would be a Dragoon to the top of our deck here. Of course, there has to be some bit of a caveat with how this is going to be played. A little bit of a catch, I guess, that we do have the cards to pull it off, but we have too many Dragoons being activated already. So now we're going to use Coral Anemone here. We'll target Minstrel, and we'll use its effect to send the top 3 cards of our deck to the grave. We send another Minstrel, another Diva. So we'll resolve the effect of Minstrel here. We'll put back this to the top of our deck, and we'll go ahead and use the Prince to summon out this copy of Dragoons. So here we have the opportunity to go ahead and synchro per se into something like the Deep Sea Prima Donna, but I'm not currently playing that card. I might pick it up just to experiment with it because it seems kind of promising. So here, technically, if we wanted to, we could draw the Dragoons on the top of our deck, because we could use Megalanica, the Deep Sea City here, to target Minstrel to increase its level by 1, making it a level 4. So now we have a 4, a 4, and a 1. That gives us a 9. And we can also draw 2 cards off of this Crocodragon. So that's what we'll do. We're going to go ahead and draw 2 cards. Again, we draw the Dragoons that we just stacked and a Deep Sea Aria, which is pretty nice. Now at this point, we don't have to discard the infantry in our hand. We can just discard the Dragoons and the Gund. And we'll go ahead and, well, we would use Mizuchi here, but we've already drawn it, so we'll just go ahead and resolve our effects as follows. Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. We'll target the Teus in the graveyard, and we're going to go ahead and search out something like Lapis Dragon, and we'll go ahead and special summon that to our field. And then we can go ahead and link off the Lapis and the Anemone for Krishan Halka-Fibrax. That's going to summon that pesky Fishborg Launcher. So this hand actually ended up being a lot better than I thought it was going to be, because I forgot about that effect of the field spell to modify levels by 1 or 2, which is huge right there. And since we did Synchro Summon while this was on the field, we could use the effect again to snipe another card out of their hand. So we can go ahead and Synchro these into Dragite. We'll put that into defense position. And then we'll also not put this here, if we can help it. Because when we bring Launcher back, we want to be able to link it off for that Mermail Abyssalacia, just like that. And that will give us the opportunity to equip our Mizuchi. And we have Deep Sea Aria, which we can use to go ahead and banish like the Minstrel in our grave, to go ahead and add another copy of Infantry. And that will give us 3 disruptions off of our Crocodragon, popping 3 cards, which is kind of bonkers if you ask me. And we can also, again, tag out on the opponent's turn. Get an additional card to work with for our Alacia. draw into a Minstrel. Doesn't make too big of a difference there. We could pitch that Minstrel off of the Alacia, add Teus per se. You know what I mean? Like pitch both of these, pop 3 cards, synchro for these, just pop like literally all of the cards that they've ever owned. And then next turn, just proceed to absolutely dumpster them. And we draw 1 for 1, which is not the greatest, but you know, we'll take it. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this test hand video here. It's feeling pretty solid. It's feeling pretty solid. Doing this test hand video kind of confirmed a few things and also a few new things about this deck that I really wasn't, you know, didn't even really know that could be done. Like particularly that play there. You know, taking advantage of both Minstrel and then, you know, the other effect of Minstrel to stack the deck again and draw the card that we just stacked. Seems very, very promising. We just need more ways to search this other than just terraforming. Because right now, that's really the only way. Or just getting lucky and like drawing it off of a Croc Dragon or an Upstart. Or something like that, or Pot of Avarice. But yeah, I think I'm going to call it there. It's getting pretty late where I'm at least when I'm filming this. It's just after 2 in the morning, so I've got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. So that's going to do it for this video. If you guys want to see, per se, a deck profile with this build, let me know. I'll be glad to share it with you guys. But again, if you really want to see a deck profile, drop a like, leave a comment down below, and let me know what you guys think. I think this card has like a lot of promise. A lot more promise than I thought originally. Especially with taking advantage of Minstrel. It's not like we have to add in any other weird cards. Like Minstrel's other effect is just, you know, what it is. It's just that good. You know, in the fact that it triggers things like Dragoons, things like Prince, or even going second, you can stack an infantry to pop a card on command, which is pretty nice. Granted, you do have to resolve something like Anemone, but you know, you could still summon off something like Monster Reborn if you're playing that, or like World Legacy Succession, or even Alacia. If Alacia gets destroyed, you can revive the Minstrel out of the graveyard and use that effect. Granted, it's not as optimal, but you know, there's more than one ways you can do it, but Anemone is certainly the best way, and maybe I even end up playing 2 Anemone because of that. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, Ridiculous signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And of course, a massive shout out to my Divine Level channel members here on YouTube, Academic Thick, Travis Harris, and Zorz. Thank you guys so much for your continued support.